We have a double-sided justice. It's very unfair what's going on. Very unfair, but let's see how it all works out, folks. Let's see how it all works out. I hope you're going to be happy. I hope you're going to be happy because there are a lot of dishonest slime balls out there. Dishonest scum. Dirty cops. A lot of dirty cops. And by the way, the FBI, those guys in that are incredible, but the ones on top, they were absolute scum. And what they were trying to do, if that happened to Obama or a Democrat, or especially a liberal Democrat, they'd be in jail for 50 years, and it would have taken place 2 years ago already. They spied on our campaign, remember that. And after they spied, we won. And then after we won, they tried to get us out of office. It's never happened before in the history of our country. And we can't let that happen. We can never, ever excuse it. We can never let them get away with that.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a look at the latest new Q posts. And of course, we have many more bombshells telling us all about how much deeper and darker it really goes when you look at the connections between Les Wexner and Jeffrey Epstein, and how President Trump's going to expose it all, and the people who are being bought, blackmailed, and leveraged into doing their bidding. We're going to take a look at that, plus a whole lot more, so you guys are going to stick around and check it out. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I'm your host, Craig, and as always, I say thank you. If you have hit that subscribe button, if you haven't done it, it's easy. Come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications, then select the all button so that you get notified as soon as all of these videos get posted. So with that, we look at the latest new Q posts, and yes, we have a lot to cover, and we're going to just dive right into it because there's a good amount to get through here. Now, the first post we're picking up at it is right where we left off. We left off at 3873. We're picking up at 3874. And Q gives us this post right here. It's a tweet from Nate Kane. And if you guys don't know who Nate Kane is, he's one of the people who came forward with information as a whistleblower against Hillary Clinton. I believe he's had his house raided. The FBI has taken possession of many documents that he presented. And this was all a part of, I believe, exposing the Clinton Foundation and certain information that was being withheld from prosecutors, investigators, that Nate Kane was able to provide them with. And Q has even pointed to Nate Kane before, saying that he's important and that he should stay strong through all of this, knowing that what he's doing is obviously a service to this nation as a whole. But the clip that Nate gives us here is the one that you saw at the beginning of this video. So it's definitely something to be watched. And here, I'll play it one more time.
You know, my father would teach me, if you could spend less and win, that's better than spending a lot and winning. Crooked Hillary spent at least 3 times more than we did and lost. Crooked as hell. She's crooked as hell. We have a double-sided justice. It's very unfair what's going on. Very unfair, but let's see how it all works out, folks. Let's see how it all works out. I hope you're going to be happy. I hope you're going to be happy because there are a lot of dishonest slime balls out there. Dishonest scum. Dirty cops. A lot of dirty cops. And by the way, the FBI, those guys in that are incredible, but the ones on top, they were absolute scum. And what they were trying to do, if that happened to Obama or a Democrat, or especially a liberal Democrat, they'd be in jail for 50 years, and it would have taken place 2 years ago already. They spied on our campaign, remember that. And after they spied, we won. And then after we won, they tried to get us out of office. It's never happened before in the history of our country. And we can't let that happen. We can never, ever excuse it. We can never let them get away with that.
So there you saw the clip in its entirety, as I only showed you a little bit at the beginning of this video as the intro. But there you saw it. And President Trump is basically signaling that justice is going to come to these people who committed these crimes. And you guys are going to want to stick around for this video because we're going to go back to July, right after, I believe, Jeffrey Epstein's arrest. And we're going to look at Q's posts, and we're going to see how incredibly predictive they've been and how they're alluding to things still to come. So definitely you guys are going to want to stick around to see that. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But Q points us to this, and Nate says, to those who think there will never be justice, think again. At Real Donald Trump seemed pretty confident tonight. Quote, I hope you're going to be happy. That implies that he has knowledge that something is coming. Hashtag drain the swamp, hashtag arrest the traitors, hashtag justice is coming, hashtag TikTok. So obviously you see it here. They know that we know, and all the patriots who are in on basically exposing this corruption, this evil, are in on it too. So they're very aware of that. And this is something that President Trump, I think, is foreshadowing. And we're going to look back to July to what he said about, you know, things like the possibility of videos existing on the Wiener laptop and how pertinent that is to everything that we're discussing here, and how it's the one thing that the mainstream media is terrified of, because once the truth comes out about that, you can't walk that back. You can't hide it. You can't sweep it under the rug. You will be complicit in aiding and abetting evil if you do so. And that's my humble interpretation of it. But, you know, you guys do with that as you may. I just wanted to share it with you, and there was what Q said. And the next one here is a Q pointing us to an older post from July 8th, 2019, where it says, Les Wexner, founder of Victoria's Secret, connect the dots, Q. And we're going to go back and look at all the posts from that time because they're incredibly important and relevant to what we're doing today. Here, though, let's start with what Q points us to, is this Twitter post from this Sapna Maheshwari saying, Victoria's Secret has been under a microscope for its outdated marketing and the L brand CEO's Epstein connections. More than 30 people also described an entrenched culture of misogyny, bullying, and harassment. Well, here you go. This is talking about L Brands, which is the major clothing company, and Victoria's Secret. And the piece here is by the New York Times titled Angels in Hell. You know, another New York Times piece. You guys can read it if you want. February 1st, 2020 is when it was published. But this then talks about, you know, the culture inside of Victoria's Secret, etc. And this is what Q's pointing us to, saying Epstein, Wexner, the story goes much deeper, darker, Q. And we know it goes much darker because we've seen the evidence and we've seen all the previous posts that have told us about what's coming as placeholders for what's coming ahead. So here we are. This is where we're starting, and not to mention the fact that they're reporting now, just today, coincidence? I'm not sure, that Les Wexner is leaving L Brands after selling a 55% stake in Victoria's Secret valued at $525 million. Now I wonder, Q promised us resignations. Q told us who's going to be resigning. Q predicted Jeffrey Epstein's arrest. Q told us exactly what was going to happen to Les Wexner. But yeah, this is all a LARP. We're all just a bunch of crazy conspiracy theorists who have no idea what's going on. And, you know, the mainstream media is 100% right in casting us as this evil bunch. No. I can't even go on with that. It's not true. But this is where we're at right now. They want to say that we're crazy, we're deranged conspiracy theorists, yet we continue to be proven right on a regular basis. So let's see how the mainstream media tries to spin this, which we know that they will. But if we go back to July 8th of 2018 or 19, we see what Q was telling us about what was coming. And this is very, very telling. And so remember, this was about a 3-week gap here between Q posts or 2-week gap. And Q says, what happens when those who held positions of power and influence no longer pull the strings? What happens when blackmail no longer works? Do you have or do you become a liability? Right? And then it talks about Hillary, I think, and Comey declassified and investigations. I think that's what that's all referring to. Q goes on to clarify, saying, just because the public is unaware of something does not mean nothing is happening. Mueller hearing a tactic meant to delay House report. I think it's the House Intelligence Report. House report release necessary prior to Comey release. House plus Comey equals declassify. Declassify equals the start of the mass awakening. White House, ABC's State Foreign, etc. Post D-class comes many investigations. When blackmail no longer holds due to the loss of senior level key government positions and 11th hour testimony. Think about how predictive this is. That's right where we are. The blackmail is no longer holding. Trump cleaned out the NSC, cleaned out all the people who were there inside as holdovers trying to effectively continue the coup against him. But they gave them enough time to show exactly their entire network, because little did they know they were being monitored the entire time. And it was a trap. And we got all the information we needed about them and their puppet masters. But thanks, Vindman. Thanks, the rest of you, Eric CIA, because you gave us everything that we needed to now go after each and every one of you for the crimes against this country that you seem to have maybe committed. But think about this. It says, when blackmail no longer holds due to loss of senior level key government positions and 11th hour testimony, which is exactly what we saw, 11th hour testimony and key government positions leaving, those previously protected become prey and hunters become the hunter. God wins. Yeah, God does win. And that's 100% true. And this was 100% predictive. And then it tells us all about the other stuff, right? Q came back and here's giving us this, right? Epstein's plane. Talking about Bill Clinton and Rachel Chandler on the plane going to where? Epstein's Island. What's underneath this island complex? What kind of sick stuff was going on there? How many kids in Haiti and never came home after maybe coming to this island? You have to ask these questions. If the mainstream media won't, then we, the people, have to. At least ask the questions, because the mainstream media won't cover this, and there will never be justice for all of these innocent lives that may have been lost if we don't pursue this to the nth degree, right? And then the next one here, talking about Bill Clinton here in Punta Cana, down in Puerto Rico. Remember, this was all around the time all those mysterious deaths were happening in Puerto Rico with tainted alcohol. I still have my questions about all that, but this is going back, telling us about these old drops about Bill Clinton in the Punta Cana in Puerto Rico. Who was the attorney there? And then it talks about Epstein. Why is he spending $29 million to bury tunnels underneath the temple on Epstein Island? What was in those tunnels? I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. And then Q gives us this post talking about 6 hours ago on PBS News. Our DA for the SDNY, Mr. Berman, said that Jeffrey Epstein arrest. What I will say is we were assisted with some excellent investigative journalists. Anons, you guys are the ones that did this. We are the news now. We're the ones who went and brought this to their attention, and they were the ones who went and did the rest of the investigation. And we are thanking God now that result ended, right? Obviously he was arrested, and everything that happened subsequently, is kind of out of our control. But that is how we got there, right? And then remember, if we go through these posts just to keep going a little bit more, Q reminds us of what was in the Inspector General report and the note that was made by the Coleman, the investigator, who was taking notes in an FBI meeting with Comey about what they found on the Wiener laptop and made a note saying, Hillary Clinton and Foundation, crime against children. I wonder what they could have been talking about. Perhaps they were talking about something much more disgusting and much more evil than anybody could ever imagine. And don't forget the other thing, like here, Jeffrey Epstein had claimed to be a co-founder of the Clinton Foundation. Oh, but don't listen to that. That will never make it in the mainstream news. And these are all things that we were being told a while ago, right? And then he says, does the single picture of Bill Clinton on Epstein's plane with Rachel Chandler refute his entire statement, fake news disinformation campaign failing, right? Because he's tried to deny all of this. And then it says, what happens when Loretta Lynch can no longer provide legal cover for the Clintons? And that's exactly where we're at today. Remember, Q predicted back then that we'd come back to this tarmac meeting when it was right relevant to this story. We're back at the tarmac meetings because President Trump's been acquitted, and now we can go after the real criminals. And this leads us to the post that we saw that Q mentioned today, Les Wexner, founder of Victoria's Secret, connected dots, right? And then it connects us to MTV Nickelodeon Children's Television Workshop and Nick Jr. These are the people who are also connected, Geraldine Laybourne and Kit Laybourne, to this kinder care company that needs to be investigated. How deep is the rabbit hole? And then you keep going, and Q tells us about how the media won't cover this. 90% owned by six corporations. Sessions started the investigation, and we should give him credit for that. Flynn news coming, but then also the final thing I wanted to cover was right here, this George Nassif post that Q points us to, and Anon says this, giving us all these different placeholders and things that are happening. Then it talks about, remember, Q's post back in March 2018 saying that they were set to drop the HRC raw video, right? Remember that? The one that from the Wiener laptop that we've been talking about for years now. And then we had this insight from George Nassif that Q points us to, right, where it describes 3 different videos that may have existed on that laptop, and they include are being covered up by cases related to Epstein, including Stormy Daniels, her attorney, Wiener, Uma, Hillary, evidence from insurance on Wiener's laptop, and 3 videos. And this is something that they predicted is coming because they were supposedly recruiting teen girls for NXIVM. So allegedly, it seems there may or may not be videos that have things where there's blood transfusions between HRC and some child, Uma and HRC possibly doing something disgusting with children and evil and sick. And I'm not even going to get into it because it's just so disgusting and evil that we have to let the investigators do their work. We have to let the legal system, hopefully under President Trump, it's come back to a place where we can find the truth about these individuals. And that's something that may be in the pipeline. So just keep that in your back pocket in case you guys are wondering about what all this means. I'll leave links if you guys want to go dive into any of these rabbit holes for yourself and try to get the information out there. Because remember, the Anons and all of you guys out there, we are the news now. We are going to do the job the news won't do, and we're going to tell the truth, and we're going to expose this evil, and we're going to do it in a way that's legal and lawful and within the bounds of what our society prescribes for justice. And if anybody wants to try to strip us of our First Amendment rights or any other of our constitutionally guaranteed rights, then they're going to be the ones who are going to suffer the consequences legally and lawfully, because they're the ones who will be ultimately having to face legal action, court action, and that's just me saying litigation will come if they try to shut us all down. Trust me, and we will win. But the Anon here talks about the connection between the Victoria's Secret models and the way they dress, and then the Lucifer or the Baphomet and the way that they worship Satan. Yeah, it's all very connected. And Q responds with, "How could anyone think the media is biased?" And it shows all these time covers where Barack Obama's just this angel. Little doing his little poses, cute poses, and he's the best guy in the world. And every one of the posters with or covers with Donald Trump is of him like melting, or his hair's on fire, he's in a storm underwater, or he's yelling at children. So it's like, no, it's not biased at all. No, nothing to see here. It's totally unbiased, right? Yeah, give me a break. And then it says, "Thank you, Bakers. The best is yet to come. Re-MSM. When facts and truth are not on your side, what tactics must be deployed?" And then it says, "P.S. What visibly happens regarding hidden rats during a fire? Q." Now, I don't know if that's Peter Strzok or P.S. is in postscript. I think it's like Peter Strzok because President Trump talked about Peter Strzok and Lisa Page and all these other people in relation to what happened with Roger Stone. His sentencing coming down with 40 months in prison. Yeah. I think that's going to get overturned as soon as they go back and do another trial, and he goes on appeal saying that it was an unfair and a biased, tainted jury pool when the lead jury foreman was a Democrat candidate who hated Trump, who vehemently opposed his administration and tweeted all about how she hates the Trump administration. Apparently, I'm not sure about this, but it seems that that's what happened, and that's the person who's supposed to be a fair juror in your case. Yeah, okay. I'm sure that's exactly what that was. Finally here, there's another one that Q points us to, and it is obviously this right here. It's this Oliver Willis post about the American Independent writing an article about the German gunman the German mass shooter. I guess it was a shooting in Germany the other day. Thoughts and prayers, obviously, with all the family of those affected. But it says German mass shooter talked about conspiracy theory that sounds a lot like QAnon in Trump world. What they don't tell you is at the very end of this article, right in a little part of the article, a lot of people may not get all the way down to. It basically says this person was in no way looking at anything related to QAnon. But it was like QAnon, so let's try to blame QAnon. Let's try to take this tragedy, and like the Democrats always say, never let a tragedy go to waste. So they're going to take it, and they're going to take this horrific loss of life, and they're going to say, oh yeah, it's connected to those Q people, those crazy Q people. Yeah, that's where we're at, folks. That's the level of vitriol, insanity, Trump derangement syndrome, whatever you want to call it. That's where we're at. Q says, here we go again. What happens when billion-dollar media companies attack and miss? All for a few thousand followers? All for a conspiracy? A public awake is their greatest fear. Q. Look, we're not doing this for a few thousand followers or just to go after a conspiracy. We're doing it to do the job of the fake news and the big mainstream media companies who are actively covering up and complicit in covering up some of the biggest news stories of our time for no other reason than they know it makes them look like they're incompetent and they're complicit in and possibly aiding and abetting crimes that could be things like crimes against humanity or treason or sedition or other things. It's amazing to me how we've come to a point where the only people who can speak the truth are those really who aren't beholden to some major corporation, right? Who don't live their lives in that manner. And that's look, we're all beholden to something, right? I'm beholden to God first and foremost above all else. But we all have to make a living. We all have to earn. I get it. But at the same time, you can't ignore this stuff. We have to examine it. We have to investigate it. That's the only way we have justice. That's the only way we get what we're looking for, and that is, the destruction of the two-tiered justice system in this country and replace it with a single-tiered justice system that means justice for all. Anybody who breaks these laws and does these evil acts, these atrocious, disgusting acts, they should be held accountable. So, then, finally, a few more stories I want to get into before we wrap it up. First of all, you had OAN breaking here with Jack Posobiec. This White House comms agency and United States Secret Service ordered several different teams to conduct special sweeps for listening devices in all presidential spaces and on official and unofficial communication systems in recent weeks, based on credible threat reporting. What happened in very recent few weeks that may have had an effect on people leaving spy devices inside the White House where the president might go? Oh yeah, President Trump fired Colonel Vindman and all the other leakers and supposed whistleblower liars at the National Security Council, eliminating 70 positions inherited from Obama. These people were the ones who were removed, were maybe, just maybe, a part of the active resistance that the New York Times was more than lovingly able to write an op-ed, an anonymous op-ed about, where they had let one of the administration officials, who we're pretty sure now is Virginia Coates, but don't quote me on that, that she and her little minions were kicked out. Well, what happens after they leave? Do you think maybe they left a few listening devices? Do you think maybe these people were being used to insert some listening devices? Do you think maybe the people who run the deep state, who are the corrupt intelligence officials, the corrupt people who are surrounding the president from the permanent bureaucracy, you think they're so desperate to get anything they can on Trump's thinking and strategy that they're willing to actually plant bugs in the White House? I don't know. Maybe somebody should investigate that. But if we had to depend on the independent or the mainstream media to do it, we'd never, ever have an investigation or a report on it. So you guys have to come here, and that's fine. We'll just keep reporting on the things that they won't talk about. Obviously, also, this is a new report now. Ilhan Omar, this is coming from the dailymail.co. UK, I'll leave a link in the description, saying that this is the headline. Ilhan Omar did marry her brother and said she would do what she had to get him, quote-unquote, papers to keep him in U.S. Oh, I see what they're going to do. They're going to try to spin this as, oh, poor Omar. She was just trying to do what's right to get her brother in the country. You would do the same thing. You would marry your brother. No, I would not. And furthermore, I'll go one step further to say that if I or any of you out there listening to this show did what she did, we would probably be in federal prison right now. And we certainly wouldn't be serving as members of Congress. I can guarantee you that. But she gets a special pass because we have a two-tier justice system where it's, you can't be mad at Ilhan Omar. She's Somali or whatever. She's a special privileged class. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. It's a privileged class that means that you would be in federal prison, but no federal prison for her. She's going to have a great day and continue serving, and nobody's ever going to investigate her. So just keep that in your back pocket when you're looking at, the actual, corruption that we're trying to expose. But that's pretty much where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. First off, I want to say thank you guys for coming here watching. Remember to come here, watch these last few videos, share them on your social media. Why? There's a content algorithm that is suppressing a content suppression algorithm, that is suppressing this content, that's keeping it away from the public. You guys have to share it to get it out there, so I'm very thankful when you guys do. Also, watch this video if you don't know what QAnon is and you want to get more information on that. And further, if you guys do want to, please leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to say about everything we talked about here today on the channel. Now, also, if you want a great free product and you want to support this channel, and you're tired of pop-up ads and your internet browser getting unusable and not even being able to read an article because every time you go to a website, there's 1,000 pop-up ads and it makes it impossible to concentrate. Well, if you're like me, I got tired of that, and then I found this product, the Brave browser. It's better than Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, whatever internet browser you're using, it's better. And it's free. And if you use the link in the description to download it, install it, and run it today, they'll make a contribution to this channel and you'll get a great product, and I guarantee you guys are going to love it. So go down in the description, use the link to download the Brave browser today and try it out for free. And I guarantee you guys are going to like it better than the internet browsers you're using now. Also, you can come find me over on Twitter at JUSTINFORMED. It's a great way to connect outside the channel. And I'm over here at JustinFormedNews.com. Great way to connect as well. And I have the backup channel, BitChute.com/JustinFormedTalk. So if you want to get all the videos, and they're all being backed up here, so go check that out. And a few other ways you can help out are both financial, Patreon, Patreon.com. It's a monthly donation. Set it and forget it, and know you're helping create content on this channel on a regular basis. Your support is what keeps this channel going, and I'm so thankful to each and every one of you. Plus, I have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. Links to everything that we've talked about here today will be in the description. So with that, though, I want to take a second and do a segment that we do at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today, I want to share a very important verse out of the book of Ephesians. And it talks about Christian warfare, but this is how we should go into the battle against evil and put Christ first. So I'm going to read this to you. It's chapter 6, verse 10 through 17. And it says, "Finally, be strengthened by the Lord and by his vast strength. Put on the full armor of God so that you can stand against the tactics of the devil. For our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the world powers of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavens. This is why you must take up the full armor of God, so that you may be able to resist in the evil day, and having prepared everything, to take your stand. Stand, therefore, with truth like a belt around your waist, righteousness like armor on your chest, and your feet sandaled with readiness for the gospel of peace. In every situation, take the shield of faith, and with it you will be able to extinguish the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is God's word." And that's how we defeat it. And that's my message to all of you. Remember, those are the tools that we can use in every situation against this great evil that we face. And we know there are people out there that worship the devil and are part of this evil satanic agenda to undermine our sovereignty, our security, and to drag our souls down with them to the pit. But it is for us to stand in the truth of God, standing with the armor of God on us. That's how we oppose this. That's how we stand up to it. That's how we strengthen ourselves, and we remind ourselves that God is with us, and if God is for us, who can be against us? And that's my message to you. Take that, spread it, give it to your friends, family, loved ones, and put that out there into the world. But that's pretty much where I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up on this video. I want to say thank you. Remember, come here, hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and hit it, punch it, tap it, elbow it, bop it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. But that's going to be it for me. I want to say thank you for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.